This rap beef brought us some of the best diss tracks in the history of hip hop. Before starting this 25 lyrical disses that I think Drake made, I want to thank both rappers, Kendrick and Drake, for delivering good music at a time when rap was going through a decline. I'm a fan of both Drake and Kendrick's music, so when the songs were released, every song was hype and got all of us excited and bothered at the same time. But in retrospect, it's become clear where the wins and losses occurred. So in this video specifically, I want to go through all the lyrical mistakes I found Drake made throughout all the diss tracks. While every song was good, when I look back, it was kind of amazing to me how many clear mistakes I saw Drake make in all the disses that worked against him. And I'm a fan of Drake's music while still being a fan of Kendrick. So this is hard, but still important to go through because it sheds light on how much more refined Kendrick's diss records were in the grand scheme of the battle. I'm going to do this in chronological order, starting with push-ups onto the hard part 6, and try to use things I feel are very clear missteps along the way in lyricism and strategy, not necessarily subjective things and about things that people can argue about, but things that appear clear lines that were weak, fell apart, and were able to be used against him. Surely we can argue all day as to which tracks were better, and this isn't to take away from any of the tracks because honestly, if you give each a listen, they all were fire. And this is the first rap battle in history where we nearly got an entire rap album of music from a single rap battle. Putting all the diss tracks together gives you about 1 hour of music. Maybe this will go down in history as the best, which says enough about both rappers, Kendrick and Drake. But without further ado, let's get into these lyrical mistakes I think Drake made. Now, starting with push-ups. The first mistake, and nearly all of them I have are lyrical, but this was the first one I think was more of a strategy. The first mistake was Drake going too hard after Like That, the one verse, and dropping 2 whole songs after Kendrick's single verse. Push-ups was a fire track and a strong hit. He should have kept this one in the tuck because yes, it was clear that Kendrick was talking about Drake, but Kendrick never said Drake's name in Like That. And it was also only one verse that was also just a feature. So all Drake needed to do was hit back with one verse, and it would have been enough. I'm not saying he would have won, but it would have been enough for the time being. One verse might have pushed Kendrick to do Euphoria, and then Drake could have responded with push-ups. One full song to one full song. But going so hard in the beginning, unnecessarily, it put Kendrick as the responder every time, which always gave him an edge. Not only did Drake drop an entire diss, right, push-ups, he went and dropped another full song, tailor-made freestyle, which that was clever, but again, it was really strong trolling of Kendrick and putting too much of your cards on the table. Doing all that to one of the best MCs in history, you have to know they're going to clap back. But Drake didn't have enough in the tuck after those 2 disses to be ready. So it made people just forget about push-ups. I won't get into whether or not using Tupac's AI voice was a mishap because it feels that's more subjective. Kendrick definitely used that to his advantage, but I can't say it was a mistake because some felt it was innovative and clever to use AI and Tupac's vision to diss Kendrick. And don't tell me that it was immoral and stuff like that, because one thing this beef showed us was that neither side was going to stay on the straight and narrow in their disses. But ultimately, Drake put too many cards on the table too early and gave Kendrick one up on that. Number 2, you pussies can't get booked outside of America for Nan. Again, didn't know what Nan meant. I'm assuming it means for nothing. But Drake was trying to say here that none of you guys, Rick Ross, Future, Metro, or Kendrick, has the same global clout that Drake has. But this is a clear mishap because Kendrick surely does and has gone on world tours. So how can you say these things? You can't diss with an incorrect fact. As a matter of fact, Kendrick Lamar was on tour in Japan literally the previous year of the battle in 2023 for the Summer Sonic Tour in Tokyo, Japan. So again, you can't be non-factual in a diss. Your disses have to be subjective or do some damage or be truthful. But I can't say you always wear a red hat and everyone sees you with a blue hat. This kind of misinformation just doesn't make the diss hit. Number 3, your last one bricked, you're really not on shit. All right, we do get that it seemed Kendrick may have seemed to be not as visible later in his career leading up to this battle. But the facts are that Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, although had less sales in the US than his previous albums, it did not brick. For context, reports show that Mr. Morale did 1 million in sales and 295,000 first week. Yes, his previous albums did better, but the last one did exceptionally well, and the first week even outperformed the first week of Good Kid, Mad City, which was considered to be Kendrick's best album. It actually did less sales first week, doing 242,000. So in total sales, yes, it did less than the others, but it's difficult to call this a brick when it outperformed in so many other factors. And even brings truth to when Kendrick said, my first one, like my last one. Like Kendrick was speaking fact. For even further context, Drake's album, the last album to date, as of the beef, was honestly Nevermind. And that the first week of that album did 204,000 and total sales of about 700,000, even less than Good Kid, Mad City and the Mr. Morale quote-unquote brick. So technically Drake's last album as of the beef bricked harder than Mr. Morale in both the first week sales and total sales. And this is like not even like Kendrick glazing. It's just like, you know, I'm a fan of Drake's music, but like these are just clear mistakes. Number 4, Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50. There was a nice climactic drop and push up similar to Kendrick's A minor bar where the beat drops and he says, Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50. And he extends the word 50. While it does sound good, it doesn't hit because when you make a climactic bar, it should be something new and never mentioned on the track, sort of like a aha got you moment. But Drake already said previous to that bar, cause Top told you drop and give me 50 like some push-ups, huh? Like when Kendrick said, you trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor and extends minor. Imagine if Kendrick already said, I know you like keys, it's probably A minor. You're trying to strike a chord, it's probably A minor. Not only this hits because it's new and it's never been mentioned on the track, even worse, later in push-ups, the drop and give me 50 becomes a consistent reused pattern. This for all the top dogs, drop and give me 50, drop and give 50. It's okay for things like this to be repetitive, but not for the climactic bar, the lead up bar. So that's what made that line not hit. So it was a mistake in having climactic bar that you already used at the line, the bar you used previously. Number 5, Drizzy Chippendale probably got your bitch a nail. I just got him done. Boy, don't make me have to chip a nail. What? Look, I'm a fan of Drake's music, but even me, when I heard this on a diss track, I was flabbergasted. Like, you're coming at Kendrick, one of the best rappers in the history of rap, and you talking about I don't want to chip a nail. Not to mention the line itself is not something, at least I don't think most guys can relate to, nor care about chipping a nail. And it does come off fruity and corny. And it's not something you want to do in a rap battle with Kendrick Lamar. I get it if he wants to bring the I don't care, I'm Drake, I do these fancy things. But again, not in a rap battle. You always want listeners to relate to you and egg you on. And there's no way anyone listening to a rap battle is going to be like, yeah, Drake, don't chip a nail. Haha, you go. It's just not going to. I don't even think the ladies will rock with that, really. Number 6. Numbers wise, I'm out of here. You're not effing creeping up. This line aged horribly. Not only because Kendrick's disses got more streams than Drake's, specifically Euphoria, and Not Like Us, you already know you're dealing with a rapper who does hella numbers. So this was super risky and made Drizzy eat his words even more when the battle was over. Kendrick has several albums that already we know did more than Drake. And to make it worse, in the rap battle, his music did more than Drake. So why go out on a limb to say numbers wise, you're not creeping up? It's dangerous. Say that to Pusha, say that to Meek Mill. But it cannot be said to Kendrick Lamar. It's almost like a dub because you don't know. Kendrick might drop something, and he did, and it did better numbers. So didn't use it wisely. Number 7, this ain't even everything I know. Don't wake the demon up. These, I got dirt on you lines, they were thrown on both sides. Even Kendrick said in Euphoria, if you take it there, I'm taking it further. Psst, that's something you don't want to do. But this was in response. For Drake to initiate, to say, early on, I have more dirt. And specifically, again, he laid out too many cards on the table, in my opinion, and it allowed Kendrick to take more time to gain ammo against Drake. If someone you see yells at you and says, I hate you, that's one thing, right? Like, I'm dealing with this guy. But imagine they said, I hate you, but then suddenly we're like, I hate you, I know what you did, I'm going to expose you. You're gonna be like, wait, what? Like, there's way more to this, and I have to figure out what's going on. So when you have to step to the issue, you're gonna step harder. So again, it gave Kendrick more power early on the comeback. Like, no, Drake. Drake is thinking about going far, so let me even be more ready. Now let's go to Tailor-Made Freestyle. Number 8, just dropping Tailor-Made Freestyle to me, that second diss to me was a mistake. As I mentioned before, I don't want to get into whether using Tupac's voice itself was an error in the battle, but I do believe simply dropping this right after push-ups was just way too much. he should have held on to the drop. Again, he put too many of his cards on the table for someone who is known to be one of the best. He went too hard too early. That would be fine if you're dealing with a weak artist who you know for sure you definitely can't get to you. But you're dealing with Kendrick, one of the best, who already has a history. So which leads me to believe that maybe Drake himself really undermines and underestimates Kendrick, which is crazy to think that he would. But maybe there's truth to that, and maybe that's what fired Kendrick up even more. Like, oh, I'm one of the best. You're out here trying to play games? You're trying to play me too? All right, let me show you and show the world. Number 9. The first one really took me an hour or two. The next one really is going to bring out the coward in you, but now we got to wait a week. Again, aged horribly, because now we know how hard Kendrick went and how much he had in the tuck. This was going too hard and saying too much. You don't know what your opponent is up to. So trolling one of the best rappers, that this only took you an hour, but he's taking a week, and then again saying, then dropping a second this, and then saying the next one I have is going to bring out the coward in you. It gave Kendrick ammo. Like, you drop push-ups, drop a tailor-made freestyle, and then you're saying you got a third one that you're gonna that's gonna bring a coward, and Kendrick hadn't even dropped nothing yet. It gave Kendrick time it gave him ammo. He just lined up the bullets and had a bunch of shots ready. So this line was also ironic and kind of poetic in that Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams right after Drake's biggest diss, Family Matters, in less than an hour, not a week. So Drake made a big mistake in this and not having multiple songs ready to go after him after trolling this hard. Now let's get to Family Matters, where it was one of the biggest diss songs in the battle in general, definitely for Drake. This song was long, so it had a few missteps than the previous. While it was a fire track, let's get into the clear lyrical mistakes. So number 10, he says, maybe in this, well, he starts off the song, maybe in this song, you shouldn't start by saying N-word. I said it. I know that you're mad. I've emptied the clip over friendlier jabs. You mentioned my scene. I'll deal with this. I gotta go bad. I gotta go bad. A lot of people just felt that this intro just was lame. Like, it was very weak in comparison to the flow of the song itself, which was really, really hard, and already started him going on the defense. But I didn't like that he started addressing the usage of the N-word. Like, if you're Drake, right? Who cares if, or anyone, who cares if someone says you can't or can't say a word? I don't think Drake should have even addressed it, because, again, it puts him on the defense and it sheds light. Like, maybe Drake does feel a way about this. If someone says you can't do this, saying I can is not really a good diss. It's not a good comeback. It's like, shut up before I smack you. Like, you can't. Yes, I can. No, it's just not a good reply on a diss track. This is also, it laid the foundation and started the Drake's continuing, like, saying I didn't do this, and then later in the Hard Part 6, where most fans said Drake he shouldn't have gone on defense, but he did. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Not once did we hear Kendrick say in his diss tracks, my son, that is my son. It's not Dave Freeze. Or I never hit my wife. Imagine, it just doesn't come off powerful because it gives power to the opponent. Kendrick's accusations were pretty strong, but if you know it's all air, like, forget about it and move on. Just diss him back. All right, number 11. Drop a 50 bag for the mob in the spot. So that line, a lot of people liked it. And I love Drake's usage of this line. I just felt in Family Matters, I said, wait, didn't he use that line in Push-Ups already? It was at the end of Push-Ups. So why is he even saying it again? Drake did the same thing with Drop and Give Me 50, repeating something dope over and over, but it kills its mystique. Now, in fairness, what I think Drake's play here was that this was a continuation of Push-Ups into Family Matters. Ends Push-Ups with drop, and starts Family Matters this way, but again, it felt repetitive. Now, maybe Drake intended this to be like a chorus, like the repetitive nature of not like they not like us, but drop doesn't come off as a chorus to me. Number 12. You know who really bang his set? My dude YG. Another bad strategic mistake Drake makes here. Now, we know YG ended up dropping a diss record against Drake. Appears like a subliminal diss. When you hear the lyrics, seems very clear. Why would he name drop a West Coast artist in his diss against Kendrick, who he doesn't know for sure if YG is on the side? That's just bad strategy. The fact that YG came out and dissed Drake, it just looks so bad. And it weakens Family Matters also. It makes it look like Drake didn't have the stuff together. Maybe YG switched up. Maybe Drake had a relationship with YG he felt was strong enough to where he could have name dropped him in this fashion. But again, that even makes Drake look weaker. Like, damn, even the guy you thought was your friend switched up on you and went to Kendrick's side during the battle or after the battle. Name dropping other people, again, super risky. And yeah, you got to be 100%. These people are on your team. Number 13, always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed. Now, we get to this line, which also aged horribly. Again, I do believe a lot of the people rocked with the line initially when it came out and felt it was clever when they heard the second line to it. It was Drake trying to call Kendrick some phony activist, playing the activist card all the time, but that he's not a real one. But once Kendrick flipped it and said, homie even doubled down calling us some slaves, it made a lot of people question, which goes to show you how much better Kendrick did in the beef. The fact that he was able to flip the lines Drake said back on him. When I first heard the line, I said, okay, freeing slaves is a good thing. So what is he trying to get at? But then when I heard the next line, you just act like an activist is make believe. I know what you're trying to say, Drake. But again, he should have reworded the first line so that it wasn't so open to poke holes at. These little mishaps, they gave Kendrick the ability to double down on the culture vulture concept that Drake is not really one of us. The fact that he could crack a joke using slavery and using Tupac's voice. Now again, I do think initially there were sides that, thought these aspects were clever. But again, it was able to be used against him, and Kendrick was wise in how he twisted them back on him. Similar to the line in Family Matters where he says, we get it, we got it, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. He's using lines though that are known to be empowering, right, for the black culture in a way. That's what these lines kind of historically reference in a way to mock Kendrick. We know he wants to say, Kendrick, you're just a front, you're just a perpetrator, but I think he needed to use different vernacular to get this message across. Number 14 says, let me stop playing around and take this serious. Dudes is a joke, I take it serious. When he switches up the beat, he starts to just do a little convo. Another tragic line. Let me explain why. It comes off forced because we all know for sure that Kendrick is a top tier opponent. Like, even if you're a Drake fan, right? Like, if you're a Drake fan, you know that Kendrick is top. So he was trying to make it sound like, oh, this is all a joke and it's not up to my standards. Again, that works if your opponent is Rick Ross. Like, nobody cares, but not if it's Kendrick. It does not work, not only because Kendrick is a top tier rapper, your audience themselves also know he is. So we know there's no way you would be taken as a joke. And the fact that you are just makes it sound forced, like you're faking. Imagine if like in Tupac Hit 'Em Up, Tupac just laughed it off and tried to make it sound, oh, like, I'm gonna get serious because Biggie's a joke. People know Biggie was one of Tupac's peers and one of the best in the moment, right? So it just can't be done. Number 15. What the F? I heard Rick drop. Dude, Rakim, and then another line where he says Rakim talking shit again. You want to take up for Pharrell. So he goes on to talk about Rick, Rakim, ASAP Rocky, who's ASAP Rocky, Pharrell. Drake took on too many people at once. So when you take on too many people, they're all going to work against you together. Them, their peers, their fan base. He should have stuck to Kendrick on this. He already mentioned a bunch of people in push-ups, and he did a good job at it. Like, all right, we're done. Kendrick came back with Euphoria. 6 minutes just on you. So Family Matters comes back and was good. I think it was 7 minutes, right? It's a good comeback. But then you add a bunch of other stuff. And it was a fire track, but again, just wasting too much time on other people and plus getting too many people against you. Number 16. Ozempic got a side effect of jealousy and doctor never told y'all dudes. This would have been a dope bar against Rick Ross if Drake wasn't found to be taking Ozempic too. Right after Family Matters dropped, Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams. It had 2 Ozempic prescription bottles with Aubrey Graham's name on it. The truth behind all those items in the original Meet the Grams cover art that was later taken down is still mysterious. The claim by the mysterious Ebony Prince Twitter dude is that these items were trashed by Drake and he took them. I don't want to get into like all that stuff because honestly there's just too many things like not adding up about it all and nothing is confirmed. But my point is, why use a bar against someone you know that you do the same thing? Because it makes you come off inauthentic, which is already the kind of characteristic Kendrick is placing on Drake in the entire beef. So it's like you love Kool-Aid and you go and make a bar trying to diss someone else about how much they like Kool-Aid. Like you dissing Rick Ross trying to say he's fat, he takes Ozempic. It gets weakened when we find out you're taking Ozempic too. Like it just doesn't add up. It's just not, again, I hate that this might come off as like, I'm trying to, get glaze or like empower Kendrick, which Kendrick doesn't need, to be honest with you. It's not that. It's that these were clear mishaps, errors that Drake made along the way. Number 17, Kdot shit is only hitting hard when baby Keem put his pen to it. Another, this was a nice attempt to discredit Kendrick, but difficult to swallow when one of the main hits Drake took in his career was that he doesn't write and uses ghostwriters. While Kendrick's reputation is nearly flawless in that regard. I'm not saying it can't be true, right? I'm not saying it can't be true that Kendrick has help or that Baby Keem never helped, Kendrick write something. But again, it comes off weak Given the context of the many ghostwriting allegations against Drake, it feels petty, like he's trying to get people to discredit Kendrick for something he's being discredited for. Like, I'm saying there's something ineffective in trying to discredit someone for something you're kind of already known for, and the other person wasn't even involved in all these allegations. Like, Kendrick had nothing to really do with these allegations about Drake's ghostwriting stuff. It comes off petty and weak. Number 18, I'm going on vacation now. I hope next time y'all plan it right. I can tell you, I don't think there's any Drake fan who was happy or giggled at Drake using the word vacation in a diss track. I think almost everyone shared the same sentiment that Drake saying he's going on vacation just doesn't sound good. And a lot of Kendrick's fans took it as that he was giving up. Imagine being in a rap battle and saying, all right, enough is enough. I'm going to Bali. I'll catch you on the flip. It doesn't work. Like, nobody rocks with that. This also came back to bite him in the Heart Part 6, where he definitely sounded like he was definitely giving up and he was already on vacation. Number 19, West Coast dudes do fades. Come get this ass whooping. I'm handing them out. All right. Now we get to the bar. I think low-key was what made him lose this entire battle. Now stay with me on this. I know people wondering, like, come on, like, this is the worst line. No. Here's the thing. Drake name dropping the West Coast here and saying, oh, y'all like fighting? I got ass whoopings for you. It's a total diss to the West Coast. And that's exactly why the whole West Coast rallied behind Kendrick. And you don't want an entire coast riding for your opponent in a rap battle. This is why West Coast went extra hard, in my opinion, for Kendrick. And when Not Like Us dropped, the West Coast went crazy and practically made it their anthem. I'm not saying they didn't like rock with Kendrick. I'm just saying this gave them more ammo. It gave them more of a reason. Already said on push-ups, I get more love than the city that you from. And that was a dope bar. He was trying to say, people ride with me probably more than they ride with you in your own city. And that bar was fire. Could have made people say, like, in the West Coast, like, damn, well, we do rock with Drake. Let me see what Kendrick's going to say. Attacking the West Coast itself. Y'all like fades, I'm handing them out. It was an open invitation to a war. If Drake was an NYC rapper that could have literally started an East Coast, West Coast rivalry again, which happened in the past. And this is one of the reasons I felt Kendrick, maybe Drake being from Canada doesn't fully get the culture out here in the US. Like, that was the first time I was like, maybe he really doesn't get it. Unless he was doing it on purpose. And if he was, honestly, I think it was a bad move. Now we get to the Heart Part 6 that practically, got dismissed and had lines and a tone that people criticize as sounding defeatist. I actually think Drake's sound on the Heart Part 6 was nice. Like, the vibe, it was creepy, kind of like Meet the Grams tone. But what made it fall apart were some of the lines themselves. And this is why it always felt in the rap battle, like, to me, Kendrick was always one step ahead. Drake comes with a bop, push-ups. Kendrick responds with a rowdy diss, Euphoria, like, went crazy. Drake tries to come with a rowdy diss, one of his craziest tracks, Family Matters. Then Kendrick responds with a dark, creepy diss, Meet the Grams. And then he comes with a bop, Not Like Us. And then Drake tries to come back on the Heart Part with some, like, kind of dark diss, right? But it was already over at that point. Like, he already dropped the bop. Like, Kendrick was just ahead. So let's get to number 20. We plotted for a week and then we fed you the information. A daughter that's 11 years old. I bet he takes it. Your fans are rejoicing, thinking this is my expiration. Even the picture you use, the jokes and the medication, the Maybach glove and the drug he uses for less inflation. And then later in the outro, he says, you definitely got this burnt the hell out. 10 more records to drop. And before the last one, we finesse you into telling a story that doesn't exist. I think by now we all can agree all of this would have been so fire if he actually set Kendrick up with phony information and showed how he set it up with proof. But what makes it worse is that not only did Drake not come up with any interesting proof in the song, we later find out through the Ebony Prince handler that all these items were found by some other random person not even related to Kendrick from a hotel that Drake was at. Again, all this info surrounding that stuff is fuzzy. But one thing seems certain, it doesn't look anything like Drake set this up. Again, not only does this weaken Drake, it re-emphasizes what his opponent is calling him along in the battle, like the whole time, a liar. Another point is that a lot of us tried to take up for Drake and say, nah, he was only talking about the daughter, that he fed information on the daughter. But no, and that does kind of seem like a complete hoax, as far as we know so far. But if you follow the lyric, Drake does double down, making it sound like he fed the other items, the glove and the prescription. He goes on to say, even the picture, the jokes and the medication. What does that even mean? Like, what's the joke? Unless there was truly some crazy setup and jokes in the Ozempic bot, like, I don't see that Drake presented it, and I don't see any jokes in an Ozempic bottle with your name and address on it by a random person. We don't even know who that person is, how they found it. Where's the joke? Like, this stuff fell apart. Number 21, when he goes on to, you all know he accused, and I'm not going to get into how he misrepresented, Kendrick's song, because that's subjective, right? But when he says "Touch My Body" by Mariah Carey, play, you probably start reflecting. Now, we know what he was trying to say about Kendrick in these bars. I don't want to get into that. But joking about this stuff, I think, was distasteful. Imagine a fan who went through this. Like, I get like what he was trying to say about Kendrick. That was enough. But this bar was distasteful. Because if a fan listening to this had gone through that, like, they can't rock with it. Like, you're trying to make fun of someone's abuse. So even in Meet the Grants, which truly was a cold and eerie diss, and probably one of the best, some people say. But as far as I remember, he never said something that mocked someone for having some abuse or something wrong done to them. Like, he goes in on Drake and disses him. And I'm not saying Meet the Grams was clean, but I'm saying, like, this bar feels like a mishap because it just can work against you because people can't rock with it. It's not even a bar like the fans of the music, I think, can enjoy or would rejoice in. I don't think anyone can. And it's ironic because I don't know how people rejoice in the PDF things and the minor stuff that's mentioned in Not Like Us. So, yeah, hey, to each his own. I don't know. Number 22. If I was effing young girls, I promise I'd been arrested. I'm way too famous for the shit you just suggested. I don't think there was a human on earth who heard this bar and thought it made sense. This bar was already destroyed on TikTok 1,000 times, so there isn't much more to say about it. It's clear. No, Drake saying you never did anything wrong and the proof being that you've never been arrested and that you're famous. No. It's probably the dumbest line in the entire rap beef or altogether in rap beefs. I don't know why his team would even let him keep this in with no one saying, like, Drake, bro, that doesn't make sense. This bar almost made me feel like, is Drake dumb? Like, and I don't mean, and I'm being real. Like, I'm a fan of Drake's music, and like how someone could be like, he's top tier, right? All the hits he's put on the decades, but it almost made me think like, bro, like, you can't be this oblivious. All right, number 23. Only effing with Whitney's, not Millie Bobby Brown's. I never looked twice at no teenager. Another line that didn't make sense. And not because of anything, because it's not factual. It doesn't even make sense because it's not true. Like, and we know it's not true. So you're saying you never look, okay, you're saying you never looked twice at a teenager. Sounds nice. But literally the biggest thing Drake haters are rallying about is a prominent viral video of Drake kissing a 17-year-old. I'm not even judging the issue itself, right? Forget the morality of the clip. And that's the thing, right? Forget it. I'm talking about the lyrics. I'm literally just saying you can't come out in public in a rap battle and say, I don't eat ring pops, and there's a viral video of you enjoying the hell out of a ring pop. These are all clear mistakes in the battle. Number 24. I give an F about your streaming data. You could drop 100 more records. I'll see you later. When everyone was saying this record was Drake surrendering with the white flag, at first, I didn't get it. But when you hear all these lines, you're like, damn, this is where you get it from. How are you saying to your opponent in the middle of a rap battle, you could keep dissing, I'm gonna see you later? It doesn't mean you're done with this. Like, now, to be fair, I do feel like what Drake was really trying to say was, you're doing this for clout, and you're doing this to get your streams up and promote your album, so I'm not gonna let you do that. And later on, he says, everything in my shit is facts. I'm waiting on you to return the favor. So he wants to say you're doing this for promo and you're lying about me. So I don't want to entertain this. But it doesn't all fully come together cohesively, right? Like, if we have to think about the bar and like help you figure out like what you're saying makes sense, because I know that's what you're trying to say, but it just doesn't come off like that. As a listener, when you say like, Kendrick, you probably have 100 more records, which Kendrick should, he's in a battle, it sounds like you're basically admitting that Kendrick has the edge and that you can't keep battling with him anymore. Like, you can't keep up. Like, don't get me wrong, like, all this battling is probably tiring as hell, but I'm just saying it does sound like you're admitting defeat and that you can't keep up. And that's fine too, but then again, this is a lyrical mistake in a rap battle. The last one, number 25, it's kind of like in the outro, I'm not gonna lie, this is some good exercise. It's good to get out and get the pen working. Man, when I heard this line, I cringed hard. Because if you listen to it closely, it almost sounds like Drake is saying he's rusty. He doesn't usually write. But finally, he had a moment to sit down and practice writing again. Like, right? Like, what? Like, right? It sounds like that. And what do you mean it's good to get out and get the pen working as a good exercise? You mean you don't do this every day? You don't write your records? Wink, wink. I mean, like, I'm not even getting into like whether I think it's okay for him to use ghostwriting or that he has. Forget all that. I'm saying you're literally flat out kind of joking that writing is just like a good exercise. Like it sounds like you just don't do this often. Like you saying you haven't done it in a long time. I mean, imagine Tupac saying in his diss, it's good to get in the booth and practice rapping again. Dude, there's nothing left to say about this.